In the cold silence of deep space, a bored engineer made a careless joke about needing a wife, never knowing his words would awaken an ancient power, summon a forgotten alien bride, and ignite a battle that could decide the fate of humanity itself. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video and tell us where are you watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The stars beyond the Forgotten Rim burned without passion. They were endless, unchanging, and for those stationed at Outpost Orion 9, they offered little comfort. The place was a lonely post in deep space, a circular station orbiting a silent gas giant. For most, it was a punishment. For Darian Wren, it was survival mixed with quiet madness. Darian was a maintenance worker. At 28 years old, he had unruly dark hair that refused to stay in place, and eyes that carried the tired look of someone who had counted too many days in silence. His job was to keep the station alive. Oxygen filters, temperature regulators, failing circuits, and stubborn machines. Nothing ever works smoothly on Orion 9. To break the boredom, Darian spoke to his drone camera while repairing equipment. He called it his private show. 40 or so crewmates often tuned in just to laugh at his commentary. He made jokes about loose wires, dramatic warnings about screws rolling away, and sarcastic remarks about how the entire human collective forgot about them. On this particular night, Darian knelt in a narrow shaft repairing a clogged air filter. His voice carried into the drone. "Welcome to another thrilling episode of Darian Wren versus the Stubborn Bolts," he said. A handful of laughing icons filled his small display. As the filter gave way, Darian continued. "You know the worst part of this post? It's not the stale food. It's not the endless repair. A soulmate, huh? Maybe the old stories had it right," he said. "Remember those legends about the Varii? The so-called star vampires from the last Great War? They had something called Warbond brides. One bite, and you were bound for life. They could sense their chosen partner across the stars. Sounds more efficient than a dating app to me." The chat reacted with laughing icons and mock horror. Darian leaned closer to the drone. "If there are any Warbond brides left out there in the dark, I could use a wife. Someone to share laundry duty at least." The small audience burst into digital laughter. One viewer typed, "Careful what you ask for, Darian." Another wrote, "The void listens." But Darian only gave a careless shrug. He closed the filter, crawled back into the station corridor, and ended the stream with his usual farewell. "Keep breathing, folks. I'll keep the machines alive so you can waste that fresh air." The feed shut down, and with it, the laughter. Darian returned to his quarters. For him, the joke ended there. But the void had listened. 3 nights later, alarms shattered the silence of Orion 9. Flashing red lights streaked through the corridors. Klaxons roared with urgent warning. Darian woke from restless sleep, heart hammering in confusion. The automated voice of the station repeated, "Unidentified vessel detected. All personnel report to stations. This is not a drill." Still half awake, Darian rushed through the halls. Others were already running toward the command center. Fear spread quickly in places where boredom had ruled for years. Outpost Orion 9 was never supposed to receive visitors, especially not from the direction of the dead sector. The command center was alive with tension. Captain Mira Solon, tall and sharp-eyed, stood before the wide holographic display. Her voice cut through the chaos. "All crew to positions. Defensive shields active. Communications officers, report." On the display floated a ship. No modern design could match it. It was vast, dark, and shaped with curves that looked more like bone than metal. Strange crimson energy pulsed across its surface like veins. Whispers spread through the command deck. Ancient, alien, impossible. The communications officer looked pale as she turned to the captain. "The vessel is transmitting, not to the station, directly to one of us," she hesitated. "To Darian Wren." Every eye turned to him. Darian froze, mouth dry. "Me? Why me?" The officer swallowed. "The message is simple. Only 2 words. Accepted. Binding." The room fell silent. The hum of machinery and the distant echo of alarms were the only sounds. Captain Mira Solin stepped forward, her expression unflinching. "Wren, explain to me why an unidentified ship, possibly Very, is answering to you." Darian stammered. "I don't know. I didn't contact anyone." Her eyes narrowed. "Are you sure?" He opened his mouth to protest, then remembered the careless words he had spoken into his drone. A joke, nothing more. His voice cracked as he whispered, "I might have said something during a live stream about needing a wife." The silence deepened until the weight of it was almost unbearable. The captain's voice broke it with cold clarity. "You joked about a war-bond bride, and now an extinct alien race is at our doorstep." Darian stood frozen, trying to deny it, but the massive ship outside the viewport pulsed with life. Its message had been sent, accepted, binding, and somewhere deep in his chest, Darian felt a warmth that did not belong to him. The ancient vessel hung in the dark like a phantom from forgotten history. The crew of Outpost Orion 9 held their breath as the crimson energy that pulsed along its hull grew brighter. The ship did not fire, did not move to attack, but something detached from it. Dot. A pod, round and organic, drifted toward the station with deliberate purpose. Captain Mira Solin gave her orders with sharp control. "Lock down Docking Bay 3. Security teams stand ready. Shields up until I give the command." Her voice was steady, but everyone could hear the tension beneath it. Darian Wren stood off to the side, his chest still carrying that strange warmth left behind by the ship's message. His thoughts spun in circles. It was only a joke. It was only a stream. There was no reason a vessel older than recorded memory should answer to him. As the pod neared, alarms shifted from red alert to priority docking protocols. Sensors confirmed the pod was alive, composed of biological material fused with technology. Dr. Elan Veris, the station's leading scientist, leaned over his readings with wide eyes. "This is extraordinary. This design predates anything the human collective has ever encountered. It breathes. It's reshaping itself to connect with our station." In the bay, security officers raised their weapons, forming a wall between the pod and the humans. Captain Mira stood at the front, her silver-streaked hair cut close and her gaze unyielding. Darian was pulled along despite his protests. "Captain, I don't need to be there," he whispered. "I'm an engineer, not a soldier." "You started this, Wren," she answered coldly. "You will face whatever walks through that airlock." The pod latched onto the docking gate, its surface rippling like flesh. Moments later, the metal of the station began to shift as though softened. A passage opened, dark and glistening. The security team stiffened. Captain Mira raised her hand. "Hold your fire! No one shoots unless I give the order." From the darkness stepped a figure that made the air itself feel heavy. She was tall, with skin so pale, it gave off a faint glow. Her hair was black as the void, woven into long braids that carried silver clasps. Her eyes were pools of black with narrow crimson pupils, glowing like sharpened blades. Her armor was unlike anything human. It clung to her like living skin, moving with her every step, shades of crimson and obsidian shifting in slow waves. As she crossed the threshold, her presence filled the bay with a silence so complete that even the hum of machinery seemed to fade. Her gaze swept over the armed soldiers as though they were nothing more than shadows. Then her eyes locked onto Darien Wren. She stopped 3 steps inside the bay. Her voice, when she spoke, was rich and melodic, carrying an accent no one could place. I am Celira Kane, Warbond Bride of the House Very, Sentinel Bloodline. You called, I answered. The words struck like lightning. Soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. Dr. Elon whispered with awe. The Very were supposed to be extinct for centuries. Darien's mouth went dry. He took a step back, shaking his head. I didn't call anyone. It was just a joke, a story. I didn't mean anything. Celira tilted her head, her eyes never leaving him. You sent your voice into the void. You spoke of need. I have accepted. The binding is initiated. Captain Mira stepped forward, her tone sharp. This station is under human collective jurisdiction. You have no right to be here. Explain how a ship thought extinct for 800 years has suddenly appeared. Celira did not even glance at her. I am not here for you. I am here for him. Her long, claw-like finger pointed directly at Darien. The captain's jaw tightened. You will explain yourself or leave. Celira ignored the threat and moved closer to Darien. Her steps were slow, controlled, like a predator savoring the moment before the strike. He froze as she stopped in front of him, her height forcing him to look up. You carry the bloodline, she said softly. The oath cannot be broken. The union is sealed. Darien shook his head in panic. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm no one special. I'm not your husband. I'm just an engineer. She reached out and placed her palm on his chest. The touch was cold at first. Then a sharp sting spread warmth through his veins. Darien gasped and stumbled back. What did you do to me? He demanded. The first stage of the bond, she replied calmly. Your blood now carries my mark. Where you go, I follow. What threatens you, I destroy. Security officers raised their weapons. Step away from him, the captain ordered. Celira did not flinch. Instead, she turned toward the dark passage. Violence is unnecessary. I have no interest in harming your people, but he is mine now. She stepped backward, her figure framed by the living walls of the pod. Her crimson eyes burned into Darien's. Remember this, the blood oath knows no humor. It is binding. The organic doorway sealed shut. Seconds later, sensors confirmed the pod had detached, rejoining the massive vessel beyond the station. The bay erupted in noise. Soldiers lowered weapons. Officers shouted commands. Dr. Elin rushed forward to scan Darien's chest, muttering about markers, biological transfer, and living technology. But Darien could not focus on their words. All he could feel was the strange warmth pulsing through his veins, spreading from the spot where her hand had touched him. Captain Mira stood over him, her expression grim. Wren, explain exactly what you said. Darien swallowed hard. I only said, if there were any brides left out there in the dark, I could use a wife to help with laundry. No one spoke. The silence in the bay was heavier than before. The captain's voice finally cut through it, low and cold. You made a careless joke, and now an ancient alien bride has come to claim you. What you have awakened is no longer a laughing matter. Darien pressed his hand to his chest, still feeling the unnatural warmth. The words of Celira Kane echoed in his mind. Binding initiated. and deep in his heart, he knew his life would never return to what it had been before. The alarms of Outpost Orion 9 had not gone silent since Salira Kane's arrival. The station was tense, officers rushing through dim corridors, voices sharp over comm channels. For the crew, it was chaos. For Darien Wren, it was something worse. His chest still burned with the strange warmth Salira had left behind. It pulsed like a second heartbeat, a reminder that her words had not been a threat, but a truth. Captain Mira Solon was in no mood for patience. She pulled Darien into the command center, her voice sharp. "You claim this was a joke. Then explain why an extinct alien bride marked you as her chosen husband." Darien stammered, his throat dry. "I don't know. I never called anyone. It was just words in a stream." The captain's eyes narrowed. "Words have power when the universe listens, and now we are all paying for it." While soldiers prepared defenses, Dr. Elan Varys studied readings from the scanners. His face lit with fascination. "Captain, there's more to this than coincidence." The ship recognized his genetic pattern. "It's not random, it's bloodline recognition." The words cut deeper than Darien expected. Bloodline? The thought rang like a warning in his chest. Before questions could continue, another alarm filled the air. New vessels entered the sector, their signals claiming to be from the human collective. Yet as they approached, their movements were wrong, precise but stiff. When the docking clamp sealed, soldiers entered the station. They wore human uniforms, but their eyes betrayed them. Black sclera with glowing vertical pupils, the same crimson that had glowed in Salira's gaze. The first strike came in the medical wing. One soldier grabbed Dr. Elan by the throat, lifting him as if he weighed nothing. His voice was flat, mechanical. "Engineer Darien Wren, you will come with us. The awakening has begun." Darien froze, every muscle tense. "I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not whoever you think I am." The soldier's answer was cold. "Your denial is irrelevant. Your blood carries the mark. The prophecy demands it." Before they could take him, the walls erupted in sparks. Salira Kane tore into the room, her blades flashing with crimson light. She moved like flowing fire, cutting through the imposters with terrifying speed. The battle was swift and violent, yet the soldier's words left Darien shaken. Prophecy, awakening, last groom, ... Dr. Elan pulled him into a side corridor, his voice urgent. "We need answers. There's something hidden in the archives, and I think your family is at the center of it." Together, they slipped into Darien's quarters, alarms echoing in the distance. Dr. Elan bypassed the system with quick keystrokes. A wall of restricted files appeared, marked with high-clearance warnings. Then the system spoke. "Genetic verification required." Darien hesitated, his chest tight. "What kind of archive needs bloodline access?" Dr. Elan's eyes met his. "The kind only meant for descendants. Place your hand on the scanner." With reluctance, Darien pressed his palm against the panel. The system hummed. "Genetic match confirmed. Welcome, Wren bloodline." The files unlocked, rows of ancient records glowing on the screen. The earliest file opened with a flicker of static. A man in an old uniform appeared. His face bore the same sharp jawline as Darien, though older, colder. "Commander Rovan Wren," the figure declared. "Final testimony regarding Operation Blood Oath." Darien's breath caught. This was his ancestor. The recording continued. "The Human Council authorized infiltration of the Very. I was chosen. I underwent genetic modification to bind with their highest bloodline. Through the Warbond ritual, I gained access to their secrets, their defenses, their stasis chambers. Commander Roven's eyes darkened with regret. We used their sacred oath as a weapon. When they trusted me, when my bride believed in me, I betrayed her. Billions of her people were destroyed while they slept. The very lost their future. Humanity won the war. Darien felt sick, he whispered. He tricked them. He tricked her. The commander's voice grew heavier. But the oath did not die. My bride, Queen Nira Vera, survived. Her bond twisted by betrayal. Her love turned to hatred. She swore to return when my bloodline had forgotten its sin, to claim vengeance on all, human and Varia alike. The recording ended. The screen returned to silence. Darien staggered back, his face pale. I'm his descendant, the bloodline, the last groom. Dr. Elan's voice was low. This is why the ship answered you. Your ancestors' betrayal is repeating itself in you. Before they could say more, the door to his quarters burst open. Smoke and sparks filled the room. Through the haze, Darien backed away, his voice shaking. I'm not him. I didn't betray anyone. Nira's smile was cruel. The oath transcends time. You are his heir. You are mine to claim. Before she could strike, the wall behind them exploded outward. Celira Kane staggered through, her armor battered but her blades ready. Her voice rang with fury. He is not yours, Queen Mother. His oath is mine. Nira turned her gaze on Celira, green fire blazing. You dare challenge me, child? You, who slept through the slaughter. You know nothing of his blood. There behind them, the clash of queens shook the station. In that moment, Darien knew the truth. His joke had awakened not only an ancient bride, but a legacy of betrayal. The bloodline secret was no longer hidden. It was alive in him. The corridors of Outpost Orion 9 shook as battles raged across the station. Alarms cried out, fires burned in broken sections, and the clash of weapons echoed through the steel halls. Darien ran beside Dr. Elan Varys, guided by the pounding of his heart and the memory of Celira Kane's words. Behind them, Queen Nira Vera fought with unrelenting power, her green armor blazing with venomous energy. When they reached the command center, the destruction was worse than expected. Bodies lay still, human and altered alike. Consoles sparked, and the great holographic display flickered with broken images of the alien vessel outside. In the corner, Captain Mira Solon sat slumped. Wounded, but still alive, Darien rushed to her side. Captain, we need help. The Queen is here. She wants to use me to awaken them all. Mira's voice was weak, but steady. Ren, listen to me. The archives hold more than confession. Your ancestor prepared a reversal, a last resort. The Varii ship will recognize your bloodline. It will obey you, but the risk is great. Dr. Elan looked sharply at Darien. If that's true, the only way to stop Nira is from inside the ship, but it may cost your life. Before Darien could answer, the bay doors burst open. Celira entered, her armor cracked, her movements heavy with exhaustion. Even wounded, her eyes burned with fierce determination. We have little time. Nira will not be contained. The ship must be claimed before she awakens the sleepers. Darien stared at the two of them, torn between fear and duty. His voice shook. I'm no commander. I'm no warrior. I'm just an engineer. Celira stepped closer, her voice softer. You are not your ancestor. You are more than his shadow. But the bond has chosen you. What you decide will shape the future of both our peoples. The words lingered as silence fell. Then, Darien made his choice. Take me to the ship. If this reversal can end it, I'll do it. They left the captain in the care of survivors and followed Celira to a small transfer pod. The organic vessel enclosed them, launching into space like a living arrow. Darien gripped the shifting walls, his breath uneven. This feels like being swallowed. Celera's faint smile returned. The discomfort is temporary. The ship listens through us. It will recognize you. The pod entered the vast Varai vessel. Inside, the walls pulsed with crimson light, veins of energy moving through the structure as though the ship itself were alive. Thousands of stasis chambers lined the halls, each holding a silent figure suspended in glowing fluid. Darien stared in awe. They're all here, waiting. Celera's tone was solemn. A people who lost their future. Nira seeks to give it back through vengeance, but vengeance will only destroy more. Dr. Island moved to the central console, linking his tools to the ship's neural core. Darien, place your hand here. It will confirm the bloodline. Hesitation gripped him, but he pressed his palm against the pulsing column. The ship responded instantly. Light surged, flowing across the chamber. A voice echoed in his mind, not mechanical but alive. Ren bloodline recognized, command accepted. The power nearly drove him to his knees. Images flooded his vision, memories not his own, flashes of war, betrayal, and fire. And then he saw her, Nira, standing among the ruins of her people, vowing that the oath would one day bind again. When his vision cleared, Nira herself stood in the chamber. She had followed them, her green armor shining like venom. Her voice thundered with fury. You dare touch the sacred heart of our ship, betrayer's heir. Your blood will awaken my children, and they will rise to cleanse the stars. Celera placed herself between Nira and Darien, her blades glowing crimson. His choice is not yours to command. He is not your prisoner. Nira's laugh was sharp. He is mine by blood. You are nothing but a child, clinging to a broken oath. The chamber trembled as the two women clashed. Crimson light collided with green fire. Sparks rained as their weapons struck. Dr. Elin shouted over the noise. Darien, the reversal code. Speak your vow into the core. It will respond to intent, not just blood. Darien's chest burned, the bond pulsing with heat. He felt the pull of both sides, the weight of betrayal behind him, and the promise of vengeance before him. And then he understood. He stepped to the console, pressing both hands to the light. His voice was steady, louder than he expected. I am Darien Wren. I will not repeat the sins of my ancestor. I vow no conquest, no betrayal, no vengeance. I vow to protect, not to destroy. This bond will not be chained to blood or hatred. It will be a choice. The ship responded. Light flared through every chamber, crimson waves rolling outward like a heartbeat. The sleepers remained still, untouched by Nira's control. Her power faltered, her green armor flickering. She screamed, her voice filled with rage and disbelief. You cannot undo the oath. It is eternal. Darien stood firm. Then let it be eternal in a new way. A vow of choice, not chains. The ship's energy surged again, rising like a storm. It wrapped around Nira, pushing her back, dissolving the venomous green light that had sustained her. With one final cry, she vanished into the brilliance, consumed by the oath she had twisted. Silence followed. The chamber dimmed to a soft glow. Celera lowered her blades, breathing hard. Her eyes turned to Darien, filled with something new, respect. Dr. Elin exhaled in awe. You changed it. You turned the bond from a weapon into a promise. Darien staggered, his strength nearly gone. I didn't want to be a groom of war. I only wanted to be myself. Now, maybe that's enough. Celera stepped closer, placing a hand over the mark she had given him. Her voice was gentle. It is more than enough, because you chose it freely. Together, they turned toward the rows of stasis chambers, a people still asleep but no longer bound by chains of vengeance. For the first time since the joke that started it all, Darian felt no fear, only the weight of hope. The vow had been spoken, the choice was his, and with that choice, the future began.